my wife confessed. Our 3-year-old daughter wasn't mine. She was her lover's who abandoned her. But when I filed for divorce, my own mother disowned me, and my entire family turned their backs on me for not forgiving the betrayal. I'm 33 years old. I work in accounting for a mid-sized company, and I need to tell this story because what happened a few months ago literally destroyed everything I thought my life was. I guess I should start from the beginning, or at least the part that matters, which was when Jennifer, my wife, well, my ex-wife now, confessed something to me that basically broke me in half. But before getting to that, let me give you some context because without it, none of this makes sense. I met Jennifer when we were like 25 years old, I think, or maybe I was 26. I'm not sure anymore. We met at a mutual friend's party, one of those typical boring gatherings where everyone's standing around with their beers pretending they're having fun. She was in a corner looking at her phone and I was looking for an excuse to leave, and somehow we ended up talking about how terrible the music was. It'll sound stupid now, but at that moment, I thought I had found someone special. You know, someone who got me. We started dating, things moved fast, probably too fast, and within 2 years we were already married. My mom, Patricia, was happy, my sister Rebecca too. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. How ironic, right? The first few years were good, or so I thought. We worked quite a bit. Jennifer in marketing, and me doing my thing with numbers all day. We weren't rich, but we didn't lack anything either. We had a small house in the suburbs, 2 cars, the typical middle-class life you're supposed to want, and then Jennifer got pregnant. She was like 27 when it happened, and I was excited, like really happy about the idea of becoming a father. Emma was born in December, a beautiful girl with big eyes and that smile that melts your heart. The first 3 years with her were amazing. I mean, yeah, there were sleepless nights and diapers and all the chaos that comes with a baby, but she was my daughter, and I loved her with everything I had. The thing is that during those 3 years there were moments where something didn't add up, but I was too stupid or too trusting to see it. Jennifer would sometimes get weird when I mentioned that Emma had my nose or my hands. She'd change the subject quickly or laugh in a forced way, saying that babies change a lot. There was one time, I think Emma was like a year and a half old, when my sister commented that it was weird that Emma had such dark hair if both Jennifer and I were blonde. And Jennifer got super defensive, saying that her grandmother had dark hair and that genetics are complicated. I didn't think anything of it at the time, honestly, because why would I? I trusted my wife. I trusted that Emma was my daughter. I trusted that everything was fine. About 6 months ago, I don't remember the exact date, but it was a Friday night. I came home early because a work meeting had been canceled. Jennifer was in the living room crying, like sobbing in that way that makes you think someone died. I got scared. Obviously, I thought something had happened to Emma or someone in her family. I sat down next to her and asked her what was wrong, and she just kept crying and saying she was sorry, that she was so sorry. It took her like 20 minutes to tell me, and when she finally did, I felt like the floor was opening up beneath me. She told me she had cheated, that 3 years ago, when we were supposedly happy and planning our future, she had an affair with a guy from work, some Tyler who doesn't even work there anymore. She told me it went on for several months, that they met in hotels and at his apartment when I was on work trips. And then she dropped the bomb, the thing that really destroyed me. Emma wasn't my biological daughter. Emma was Tyler's. Jennifer had gotten pregnant by him, and when Tyler found out, he basically disappeared, blocked her from everywhere, and left town because he didn't want anything to do with being a father. And she, instead of telling me the truth, decided to make me believe Emma was mine. I don't know how to describe what I felt in that moment. It was like my whole body was numb and burning at the same time. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. I wanted to disappear. I asked her why. Why she had lied to me for 3 years. Why she had let me fall in love with that little girl, believing she was my blood. And she just cried, saying she was scared, that she didn't know what to do. That when Tyler left, she panicked and thought it was better to lie. She told me she loved me, that she regretted everything, that she'd do anything to fix it. I just stood up, grabbed my jacket and keys, and left without saying a word. I drove aimlessly for like an hour. I couldn't think. I couldn't breathe properly. I felt like my chest was going to explode. I ended up at a cheap hotel near the highway and asked for a room. That first night was the worst of my life, no exaggeration. I stayed awake until 5 in the morning staring at the ceiling, and all I could think about was Emma. About how I had changed her diapers, how I had taught her to walk, how every morning she'd run to me screaming, "Daddy," with that high-pitched voice little kids have. And now all of that felt like a lie. Like someone had taken my memories and stained them with something disgusting that couldn't be cleaned. Jennifer called me like 50 times that weekend. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Messages, calls, voicemails where she cried and begged me to come home so we could talk. But I couldn't, physically couldn't make my body go back to that house. Monday morning, I called work and told them I needed a month off for a family emergency. They said no problem, and then I called a lawyer. Ms. Anderson, that was her name, was very professional but also very clear. This was going to be ugly, especially because of Emma. She explained that legally I was the father because I had signed the birth certificate, but that we could use the evidence of the cheating and false paternity for the divorce. I told her to do whatever she had to do, that I just wanted to get out of this as quickly as possible. After that first week at the hotel, I decided to stay at David's house, my best friend since college. David is one of those people who doesn't ask many questions. He just gives you space and support when you need it. I settled into his guest room and basically stayed there like a zombie for days. I ate when he brought me food. I slept when my body gave in from exhaustion. And the rest of the time I just existed in a kind of fog. David tried to talk to me a couple of times, ask me how I was doing, but I had no words. I didn't even know how to begin explaining the disaster that was my life. And then the calls from my family started. First, it was my sister, Rebecca, crying on the phone saying she had talked to Jennifer, that Jennifer was devastated, that I needed to come home and fix things. I told her there was nothing to fix, that Jennifer had betrayed me in the worst possible way. But Rebecca didn't want to listen. She kept saying things like, "But she's your wife and Emma needs you, and families go through difficult things." I hung up on her when she said I was being selfish for not forgiving. My mom was worse, much worse. She called like 2 days after Rebecca, and from the first second she was on Jennifer's side. She told me that marriages have problems, that people make mistakes, that I couldn't just give up because things got difficult. I explained to her, practically yelled at her, that this wasn't a mistake. That Jennifer had lied to me for 3 years about something fundamental, about my daughter's paternity. And my mom, I swear I can't believe she said this, answered that I had still raised Emma as my daughter, that a father's love shouldn't depend on biology, that I was being cruel by considering abandoning a 3-year-old girl. I was quiet for a moment because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked her if she really expected me to just ignore the cheating, the massive lie, and continue as if nothing happened. My mom sighed, that condescending way she has when she thinks I'm being dramatic, and told me that if I proceeded with the divorce, she would disown me as her son, that she couldn't support someone who abandons his family out of pride, that Jennifer was remorseful and deserved a second chance. I told her she could do whatever she wanted, that I had already made my decision, and I hung up on her. We haven't spoken since. The following weeks were kind of a blur. Ms. Anderson handled all the divorce paperwork, and when Jennifer received the official documents, the calls from my family intensified. Rebecca called every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times, leaving long messages where she begged me to reconsider, to think about Emma, to think about the family. My mom got some uncles and cousins to call me too, basically organized a family pressure campaign to get me to come back. There was a point where I had to change my phone number because I couldn't take the constant harassment anymore. David was a lifesaver through all of this. Honestly. He let me stay at his house with no deadline. He'd drag me out of the room to eat when I didn't want to. He'd make me watch stupid movies to distract me. One day he told me something that stuck with me. What happened to you is shit, but you can't let it destroy you completely. You have the right to be angry, to feel betrayed, but you also have to decide what you're going to do with all that. He was right, I guess. Even though at that moment I couldn't see beyond the pain and rage I felt. About 6 weeks after I left home, Jennifer sent me a message from a new number asking me to meet so we could talk. I didn't want to, obviously, but part of me needed answers, needed to understand why she had done what she did. I agreed to meet her at a neutral cafe, a public place where she couldn't make a scene. When I arrived, she was already there, sitting at a table in the back. She looked terrible, like she had lost weight and had huge dark circles under her eyes, but honestly, I didn't feel anything seeing her like that. Not pity or satisfaction, just a kind of emptiness. We sat down and there was an uncomfortable silence, where she just looked at me with tears in her eyes. Finally, I told her she had 10 minutes to say what she had to say. Jennifer started with the apologies again, saying how sorry she was, how much she loved me, how much she missed being together. I cut her off and told her I didn't care about her apologies, that I wanted to know why she had been with Tyler, why she had lied to me about Emma for 3 years. She stuttered a bit, said that Tyler had paid attention to her at a time when I was very busy with work, that she felt lonely and made a terrible mistake. About Emma, she said that when Tyler abandoned her, she panicked and didn't know how to tell me the truth without losing me. I asked her if she had ever planned to tell me the truth, if at any point during those 3 years she had considered that I deserved to know. Jennifer cried more and admitted that no, that she had hoped to take the secret to her grave because she thought it was better for everyone. That made me so angry, like my hands were shaking from how furious I was. I told her she had no right to make that decision for me, that she had stolen 3 years of my life making me believe a lie. She tried to grab my hand, but I pulled it back like it burned. I stood up, told her the divorce would proceed, and that I didn't want to talk to her again unless it was through lawyers, and I left. The following months were more of the same, basically. The divorce process moved slowly because Jennifer tried to fight it at first, but eventually she realized there was no point and accepted the terms. I still wasn't talking to my mom or Rebecca, and that hurt more than I expected, but I wasn't going to give in. I wasn't going to let them make me feel guilty for not wanting to stay in a marriage built on lies. Some other relatives tried to mediate. Uncles and cousins who called saying I was being too harsh, that I should forgive. But I was tired of explaining myself. I told them I respected their opinion, but my decision was made, period. David convinced me to go back to work after that month of leave, said that staying locked up all day wasn't helping me. He was right, although the first few days were weird. My coworkers knew something had happened because I had suddenly asked for time off, but nobody asked directly, and I didn't offer explanations. I focused on doing my work, on keeping myself busy with spreadsheets and reports, anything that kept my mind away from Jennifer and Emma. Emma, God, thinking about her still hurt. I still loved her, you know? That was the most messed up part of it all. It didn't matter that she wasn't my biological daughter. She had been my daughter in all the ways that mattered for 3 years. But I couldn't be around her without thinking about the lie, without feeling that sensation of betrayal burning inside me. About 4 months into this whole disaster, I realized I couldn't keep living in the same city. Every corner reminded me of something. The coffee shop where Jennifer and I went on Sundays, the park where I took Emma to play. Even the supermarket brought back memories I didn't want. I talked to my boss about the possibility of working remotely or transferring to another office, and it turned out there was a position available in a smaller town about 3 hours away. I didn't think much about it. I said yes immediately. David helped me pack my few things, because honestly, I didn't have much after leaving almost everything at the house with Jennifer, and I moved one weekend. The divorce was officially finalized about 2 months ago. I received the papers by certified mail, signed them, sent them back, and that was it. 32 years of life, 5 years of marriage, 3 years believing I was a father, all reduced to some legal documents. Jennifer tried to contact me when the papers were ready, sent a long message saying she would always love me, that she hoped someday we could be friends. Something about Emma that I didn't read completely, because I had to stop. I blocked that number too. Now I live in this small town that barely has traffic, and where people greet you on the street like they've known you all their life. It's weird. Very different from the life I had before, but I guess that's what I needed. A clean slate. I got a 1-bedroom apartment that's basically a box, but it's clean, and it's mine. I work from home most of the time. I go to the office only when there are important meetings. On weekends, I've started doing things I'd never done before, like hiking and biking, trying to fill the time with activities that don't make me think too much. I made some new friends, guys from the local gym, and a neighbor who also works in finance and with whom I sometimes watch games. Nobody here knows my full story, and that's a relief. I can just be Marcus, the guy who works in accounting and moved here for work, without all the drama and tragedy attached to my name. Sometimes they ask me why I moved or if I have family, and I just say vague things like I needed a change or that I'm divorced, and generally they don't push further. Am I still angry? Yeah, honestly, yeah. There are days where I think about Jennifer and everything she did to me, and I feel that old rage coming back. Like my blood boils and I have to go running or do something physical to get it out of my system. There are also days where I think about Emma, and it hurts so much I can barely breathe. I wonder how she is, if she misses me, if Jennifer told her anything about why I left. I know. Legally, I have no rights over her because I'm not her biological father and the divorce cut all ties. But that doesn't make it easier to stop loving her. My mom and Rebecca still aren't talking to me. Rebecca tried to call once about a month ago, but I didn't answer and she didn't leave a message. I don't know if we'll ever be able to repair our relationship, honestly. Part of me wants to believe they'll eventually understand why I did what I did, but another part is resigned to the idea that maybe some bridges burn forever. It's sad, but it is what it is. Last week I was walking through downtown in this town, and I saw a little girl who reminded me of Emma. She was about the same age with the same dark hair. My throat closed up, and I had to sit on a bench for a few minutes until I could recover. It's weird how the pain doesn't really go away. It just becomes more manageable over time. You learn to live with it, to store it in some corner of your mind where it doesn't completely paralyze you. Do I regret getting divorced? No. It was the right thing. I'm sure of that. I couldn't stay in a marriage where the foundation was a massive lie. But I can't say I'm happy or that my life is better now. It's different, quieter maybe, but there's a void. I don't know if it will ever be completely filled. I guess that's what happens when your life explodes the way mine did. The pieces never fit back together the same way. You just learn to live with a new and strange design you didn't ask for. David calls me every week to see how I'm doing. I'm grateful for that, for him still being my friend when my own family turned their backs on me. He tells me I should consider therapy, that processing all this with a professional would help me, and he's probably right. Maybe I'll do it eventually. When I'm ready to open all those boxes I've been keeping closed in my head. For now, I'm just focused on getting through one day at a time, on building this new life I didn't plan, but that apparently is my reality now, and that's enough for the moment, I guess.